Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of Intuitive Angling. As always, I really appreciate it and don't take it for granted that you guys are sharing a little time with me to watch the videos. And today I'm going to talk about what I consider probably one of the most important things in bass fishing. Again, a lot of these things I talk about when baits aren't involved, a lot of people aren't interested, but I promise you, if you listen to this video here, it's going to help you out a lot more than if I give you guys a secret bait or something like that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the fine line between success and failure on the water, how minuscule it is, and give you some tips and advice on maybe how to overcome that a little bit. Real quick before we get started here, guys, just like to invite everybody, if you haven't had a chance to hit that subscribe button to the channel, that'd be really much appreciated if you could do that, and hit that notification button too, so you guys will know when all the videos come out. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, I've always said one of the things, one of the observations I've made in my career as a professional bass angler is how every tournament that I go to, it's like, if, say for example, if I don't do well in the tournament and I find out how somebody does well in the tournament, I always wind up saying, God, that is so simple. I can't believe that I didn't figure that out. Or it's like, I was doing the same thing. It's like, I can't believe that the guy won the tournament doing the same thing I did and didn't do any good. It's always something like that. And it's always something that's simple. It's never complicated usually. And as it turns out, there's a very, very small difference between having just an awesome day on the water and sucking on the water. I think a lot of people don't realize how minuscule of a difference that is. Let's say for example, let me just run down a typical day in the water. Let's say like we're going fishing right now in into May, sort of a post-spawn deal. And say I start out in the morning and maybe I'm throwing a popper or a chugger or something early in the morning, trying to get a bite on some points, or just on around riprap or something like that, a good area. And say I don't catch any doing that, and then say the sun gets up a little bit and I decide I'm going to go flip docks, and so I put on a jig or creature bait or something like that, and I go flip docks. And as it turns out, I'm doing what I think everybody else is doing. And by the end of the day, let's just say I had a bad day. Say I caught 2 fish doing that. And then I may talk to my buddy that said the same thing. He goes, well, yeah, I started out throwing a popper and riprap and caught a limit doing that. And then I moved to the boat docks and started flipping docks, and I caught 3 limits flipping docks. And I'll say something like, I can't believe you did that, because I did the exact same thing and I had 2 bites all day long. Okay, now here's the difference on a fine line between success and a failure. Let's say, for example, we both started out fishing the topwater popper on riprap. And say I was doing like the bloop, bloop, pause, bloop, bloop, pause. Like a lot of people fish a popper, and he winds up telling me, it's like, yeah, the only way I could get him to hit it is like boom, 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 boom. I wasn't stopping it. I was chugging it real fast, making it spit water everywhere, and they hammered it. That right there, look how close that is to catching them and not catching them. Something simple as how you were retrieving the bait. And then let's say, for example, let's go back to the dock flipping deal. Say I started out, I was flipping a jig and a creature bait on a 5/16 ounce sinker. I was flipping a 5/8 ounce jig and got 1 bite flipping docks all day long. He goes back in there and catches 3 limits, and he'll say something, yeah, the only way I could get him to bite is I took a soft plastic stick bait, weightless, with no weight on it, and pitched it back in underneath the pilings and skipped it back in there, and they'd swim out with it. And I'd be going like, God, I flipped and pitched docks all day long, but I was flipping with a 5/16 ounce sinker and a 5/8 ounce jig, and he was doing the same thing with just a soft plastic stick bait with a slow fall. That right there, it goes to show you how easy it is to fish over a bunch of fish if you aren't doing the right thing. And normally that's exactly what it is. Here's some things you can do about that. And there's variations of that scenario just laid out. Here's some things that you can do to make that where it's not the case. If you have a technique or pattern that you're confident is going to produce fish, let's go back to the topwater. Topwater this time of year is usually a great technique. It usually works great in the morning. if you use a technique like a chugger or a spook or buzzbait or something like that, and you're convinced that the fish are set up on this type of situation, don't give up on it unless you've experimented with different lure categories and retrieves, angles of cast, timing, all that type of stuff. Say, for example, you think you're going to catch them on a 1/4 ounce buzzbait, and you start out with a 1/4 ounce buzzbait, and you fish it for 30 minutes and don't get a bite. Instead of giving up on the buzzbait, put on a white buzzbait. Maybe they want white instead of black. Instead of going to a buzzbait, maybe go to something like a, like a walking bait, like a Zara spook or something like that. All you have to do is try it for maybe 15 or 20 minutes, give it a chance, and that's how you find out the mood and the personality of the bass. It's the same with like flipping docks. We'll go back to that scenario too. If you're on a lake where there's a lot of bass that live around the docks, and you feel that everything is set up right for it, don't just go through and fish 15 or 20 docks with a jig and a creature bait and give up on it. Go back through it with a shaky head, wacky rig, Texas rig with a light sinker, smaller jig, different colors, that type of stuff, before you give up on it. That's the whole key between having a successful day on the water and a not successful day on the water. And so the point of it, guys, is don't, if you have a bad day on the water and you hear somebody else rip them, don't get intimidated by that, because it's usually something really small, it's something simple, and it's just a matter of an adjustment. Some days you're going to be the person that picks up on that. Some days they're going to want your pop-R bloop pause, and they're not going to want it fast. So experiment a little bit, keep an open mind, and that's going to allow you to not have those, to cut the gap on that fine line between the success and failure. So again, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk later.